Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly, and this channel is all about teaching you how to create print-on-demand designs using Canva. So if that is something that you're interested in, please do stick around. So in today's video, we're going to be going ahead and creating this design right here. It is a pretty popular sports niche. It's an evergreen, so you can do this all the time. This particular design says, "I play like a girl, try to keep up." The technique I want to show you really is more about the baseball here. So we've gone ahead and done a clipping mask and put that baseball in sort of a grunge circle frame to sort of get that look. So if you want to learn how to do this, go ahead and stick around. So as always, we're going to go ahead and start with our blank backdrop. It is 4500 by 5400 pixels. I'm going to go ahead and design on black today. So as usual, I'm just going to select my blank canvas, go to the left-hand corner where it says background color. I can click that, and then I can select any background color I want. I am going to be selecting black here. And now what I'm going to be doing is creating a little bit of a frame. What I want is a grunge circle frame. Then I'm going to put a baseball in. So I'm going to come up to the left-hand corner in the tab that says Elements. I'm going to click on that. And then from here, I can search for anything I want. If I do like a splatter circle, we can see what comes up. I want graphics. So I got circles, not necessarily the splatter I wanted, so this might not be the best search term. There are some splatter circles in here, some grunge circles, and so you can always go ahead, look through, see what's available to you. That's not quite what I want, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of circle and just search splatter. And so now when splatter comes up, I'm getting a little bit more in the way of paint splatter, and of course you can also do a search for paint splatter as well. So some of these look really good. I am looking for something that's going to be a little bit more rounded. I want it to be pretty circular, so something like that might work well. Any of these kind of more circular looking ones would work well if you're doing any kind of like a ball design. And of course you can do anything that you want. Here's one that has a little bit more of a spray. I don't recommend the spray too much for the ball designs because if the ball is in the center of the solid part, you're not going to have much to cover the spray depending on what image you use. So it's important that you kind of find the right frame. With other designs, you can always go ahead and scale these. So once you find the frame that you want to use, then you can go ahead and put as many different things into that frame as you want. So it's always really important to start with a good quality frame or a good quality template if you're scaling any designs. Obviously, if you have a bad design and you scale it, then you're going to have 100 bad designs. But if you have a good design and you scale it, then you're going to have 100 good designs. So it's important to put the time into your original design, and then you can save time by scaling it out, and that'll be fast and easy. But you do want to go ahead and make sure that the first original design is exactly what you want. So I can see all these sort of splatters. Here's another one here. You can also search for grunge. Sometimes that would work too if I put grunge circle. And so you might have to play with some of your search terms to find exactly what you want. Seems like whenever I put circle in, I'm getting a lot more of a solid circle. So I'm just going to go back to grunge and try again. And so grunge is going to give me here a circle that's going to have a little bit of a faded edge. That's kind of cool. As I come down here, I really like this one. I might have to change the color so you can see it. So that's going to give you a rough edge on the circle. So that might be a cool one there. And again, you can keep scrolling down, trying to find what you want. That's the one I want. So I'm going to pull this one out of the way. This is actually the one I was looking for right here because it's got a pretty solid, good round circle, but it does have a little bit of a splatter off the edge, but nothing too big. So this is the frame that I want to work with. And again, you can just search for whatever's going to work best for your design, depending on what it is you're making. But for me, this is what I want. So I've got a nice big splatter circle right here with a nice solid center, but a good, rough edge. So I'm not going to get any solid edges. So this is what I want to go with. And I'm just going to go ahead and title this splatter circle. And it's going to be my frame that I'm going to use for this design. So I'm going to go ahead and just download this. Now I'm going to need a transparent background here, so I'll click transparent background. I'm going to leave it as a PNG and I'm going to click download. Perfect, so this is downloading my frame. And the good news is once you get, again, the frames that you want, you're going to want to save them so that you can use them again in the future for other things. So for this design, what I want to do is go ahead and do a sort of clipping mask with a baseball over here. And so I'm going to go to Elements again, and this time I'm going to do a search for baseball. Baseball is very popular. I know the season just ended. Football's still going on. Sports are usually popular year-round, so you can never, go wrong with sports. They're good evergreens. You can, for this type of design, you can use a graphic or you can use a photo. It doesn't matter. I like to use photos for these. So I'm just going to go ahead and filter my search for photos. And then from here, I am looking for a baseball. I do kind of want it to have a background to it, because if the baseball's filling up the whole circle, you're going to have some of this splatter background is going to have to be some of the background of the image. So you always want to kind of keep that in mind. And so you can pick any kind of, that's a regular, standard baseball. If you want to do something simple, you can do some of these kind of cool designs where the baseball sort of looks like it's exploding a little bit. I am looking for something like that. I know which one I'm looking for if I can find it. But again, it did take me a little bit of time, scrolling through, seeing what was available to know what I wanted. Here's a nice kind of dirty, grungy looking baseball that gives it more of a realistic feel I like. This is actually the one that I wanted. So right here, this baseball kind of has some flames around it and sort of a grunge edge to begin with. So this is what I want. Now the baseball is going to fill the entire circle, and I'm just going to get little splatters of kind of this flame area to fill these outside splatters. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this out so that it's really nice and big. Now again, I want the baseball to fill most of the circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the right-hand corner where it says transparency. There's a little checkered box. I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to drag down to the left, and it's going to bring the transparency of the top image down so that I can line it up properly. So now I'm going to be able to see the splatter underneath. This is how I know when my baseball's lined up properly. So now I can move my baseball around and make sure that it is lined up perfectly in that circle, or as perfect as I want, depends how much of the kind of side colors that I want. I do still have to make sure that this is big enough to fill the whole screen, so you might have to adjust your size here because you don't want to leave off any of these dots. If you've got the splatter going all the way to the edge, then you're going to need your main image to go all the way to the edge. So something like that. Oops, it looks like I'm still missing a little bit down here, so I might still have to drag that out a little bit more. Or I could make my frame a little bit smaller, either way. So here's going to be my baseball. Again, I'm going to have to try to line it up as best I can without losing any of the splatter. So I'm going to do something like that. Now to get rid of the transparency, I'm going to go back to the right-hand corner where you've got the checkered box. Click on that, and I'm going to pull my transparency right back up to where it says 100%. And so now my ball is nice and solid, and now I'm just going to go ahead and download my ball. So I'll just call this baseball. I'll put flames so that I know. Depends how many designs you do. You might have to be pretty specific in the way you title things. And now I'm going to be downloading this. Now this does not need to be a transparent background. You can click that if you want to. It doesn't really matter because the background is the entire image. So I'm going to download that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump over to Photopea, and really easy Photopea. We're just going to have to type that in our browser and pull it up. So if you open a new browser and you just go ahead and put Photopea, oops, and it'll say Photopea online, and there you go. You can open up this page right here, that quick, that easy. Again, you don't need a login, you don't have to pay for anything. It's totally free and easy to use. From here, this center button says open from your computer. That's the one you're going to want to click. And now what we're going to do is start with our splatter circle frame. So go ahead and open that up. So we're going to start with our frame. And then from here, you can see our frame is open. I'm going to go ahead and put the baseball over the top of it. So to do that, I'm going to come to the top left-hand corner where it says File. I'll click there. I'm going to go down to where it says open and place. If I click on that, it'll pull my downloads up again, and I can go ahead and select my baseball with the flames, and I can open that. And now it's going to put the baseball right on top. Now over on the right side, you can see there's two different layers here. The baseball layer is on the top, and then you got your background layer down here. If you ever wanted to change any of these, you can drag and drop one on top of the other. So if I brought the baseball down, I now have my splatter on top. Okay, now I want the design on top because I'm going to do a clipping mask. So again, I'm going to want to bring that background back to the back and have the baseball up at the top. Now, right now, I can't do a clipping mask because I've actually got the background layer selected. So you always want to make sure that you're working on the top layer. So if I click baseball now, I'm back to working on the baseball layer. So that's just important if you ever get stuck. And you can always go ahead and right click on anything, and you can delete certain layers too. So if you wanted to delete that layer, I could do it that way as well. So now what I'm going to do is come to the top where it says layer. And I'm just going to go, oops, about halfway down, it says clipping mask. If I click that, it's going to automatically, there you go, put that baseball in the clipping mask for me. And so this is what I'm going to end up with. It's a baseball. It's got sort of a jaggedy edge. It's got the nice splatter around there. So that all looks good. And I'm just going to go ahead and download as is now. So I'm going to go to File on the left. About halfway down, it'll say Export As. I'm going to select PNG and click on that. And I'm going to wait a second. Another box will pop up with all the details in it. Here it is. So you can retitle it now if you want to. So if you want to change the name of this to like baseball, splatter, let's just say 1, okay? Your height and your width should still be the same. So that's my 4500 by 5400 pixels. So none of that should change. It's a PNG. I shouldn't have to worry about that. Quality, you can play with the quality of the image as much as you want. Sometimes the larger, more detailed images will be too big to upload to Canva. If that's the case, you might have to bring the quality down a little bit. I mean, just bringing it down to 95% usually does it, even with the really big images. If it's something really simple, then usually I can get away with having it at 100% and it's just fine. So from here, all I'm going to do is click Save. And it should go ahead and save that image for me. And then I can hop right back over to Canva. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click on Canva. So here is my image. I'm gonna pull this out of the way now. I can go ahead and keep this splatter frame here just so that I don't lose it. So I can always add a page down here by clicking Add Page. It's just gonna pull up another blank page. And then from here, I can work with my baseball now. So if your downloads come up at the bottom of your page, you can do a little drag and drop. If not, you can always go to the side here where it says uploads. If you click on uploads and you click upload files, it's going to pull up your downloads, and you can select the download you just made and click open. And we'll give it a second and it will download our image, and then we can drag and drop from here onto our page, and that's how we can work on it. Okay, so it's all downloaded. I can click on it and just drag drop right onto my page. I can close this by clicking this little thing that says hide. And now I have my cool baseball image. And so you can see how that might look on a shirt. Looks pretty cool. From here, if you wanted to put new words on it, you can. So right now it's just a baseball, and sometimes, hey, that's totally fine. If you just want a cool looking baseball, that's great. If you want to use some words, again, just make sure that they're not trademarked, and we can add some words in. So you can do kind of whatever you wanted. You can also use photo editing at this time too. So if I wanted to click on this and go to edit image, I can now use all of my photo editing techniques on it, including adjusting brightness and contrast, but then also putting filters on it or doing anything else I want. So if I want to up that contrast, I can there. If I really want it to be like, there's a good explosion looking, I can bring it down. I can also play with the saturation too if I want some of those outside colors to pop a little bit more. So you can see how I can easily play with this. And again, I can put filters on it or anything else now that it is an image. So I'm gonna go ahead and center that. If I wanna put some text on it, I can just go ahead, click T on my keyboard, and it'll pull up a text box. Some of the common things that you might see, a popular one that I've seen is, you know, I play like a girl, try to keep up. So I can always do that. I can put, let's see, I'm gonna do this in cap locks. I play like a girl, and then try to keep up. And then I can go ahead and select whatever color I want for this so I can see it. So I'm going to go to the top where it says text color. If I click on that, I'm going to be able to select any text color I want. If I want it to match the ball, I can always click one of these colors because it's going to pull up the colors for my image. Or I can do the add new color. I can select any color I want here, or I can use this little kind of dropper. If I click on the dropper, I can hover over anywhere I want on the baseball, and I can pick a color from that. So if I wanted to pick a color more from like the flame area, I could do it that way too. And so you can do it however you want. I can bring this over here. I can make this a lot bigger. Again, at this point, I could pick a different font. This isn't really the best font here. So if I come up to my fonts, for something like this, I probably want something maybe a little bit grungy, but also something that's going to be a little bit thicker. So I can do a font search here. I can search grunge or textured or distorted, distressed, anything I want. And I can try out some different fonts and see how they might look. Something like that might look good. It's kind of grungy. Something like that. And so again, you can sort of play with some of these sort of grungy looks. That's a little bit too narrow. I do want something that's going to be a little bit wider, but you can kind of see how you can, that's an interesting one. Play with some of them and come up with your own kind of cool sort of design, and you can pick any of them that you want. Again, as I'm sort of flipping through here, I can find all sorts of cool looking fonts. Some of these are going to have a little bit of a kind of grungy texture to them. And so, you know, play around, doesn't matter. Some of those look good. Sometimes just something like that's pretty simple. Old typewriter looks kind of cool. So again, select whatever you want. I was just doing this as an example here. So let's say I just go really simple. Something like that. Now I do want these to be spaced a little closer together because maybe I don't like the spacing. I can highlight the entire thing, come up top where it says spacing, and I can adjust the line spacing here. So if I want to bring these lines closer together so that I can make it a little bigger, I can, and I think that's going to look good. And then I can always, again, line up the text on either side. So right now it's centered. If I wanted to take this entire thing, again, I can highlight the whole thing. And I can come here where it says alignment. Right now it's centered, but I can play with the alignment and I can make it go to the left, which is pretty popular, something like that. And so again, I could do something here, take my text, have it overlapping a little bit. I like something like that. Now, right now it's not really, you know, popping too well. I think I'm going to have to do something about the color, maybe add either a shadow around it so that it will pop a little bit better. So what I might actually do is I'm going to play with the text color here. So for the text color here, I'm going to go ahead and go back up to the ball color. I might want it to be just a little bit lighter of the ball color, maybe even something like that. And then I might want to go ahead and put a shadow effect on here. So I can click effects and go to shadow. From here I can do, again, any color I want. So if I wanted to do black, I could do it that way. If I wanted to do sort of that deep red that's in the ball, I could use my eyedropper feature here and just hover again over any of those deep reds in the ball and the stitches, and I could use some of those. So there it is right there. Once I have it, I can get rid of the transparency. At this point, I can play with the offset of it. And again, I don't want it to be offset too much, just enough that I'm getting a little bit of a drop shadow there. I can also play with the direction. So right now it's going off to the right a little bit, but let's say I wanted it to, you know, go off to the left maybe a little bit more so that I'm creating a shadow on the ball more. I can do it that way too. If you can't see too closely, you can come down here, and what we can do is zoom in on the page. It's going to make it a lot easier to see what I'm doing. So here I can see when I play with the direction now, I can definitely see that shadow sort of moving. And so if I get that shadow sort of maybe something like that, it's going to make these letters pop on the ball just a little bit more. So I'm going to be able to see that better. So I think I'm going to do something like that. And so now you can see all the different colors that are popping up. It looks really good. I can go ahead, scroll back out. And so there's my design right there. It says I play like a girl, try to keep up, and I got a cool baseball. I've seen people do this sometimes where they split the ball in half too. So if I wanted to just double click on this image, I can crop my image down. So if I wanted to crop that ball right at the edge where the words are, I could crop there. And so now what I've got is the text could butt right up against that ball like that. And so I don't have the overlap. That's if you want to. If you really like the splatter, you can go ahead and just keep it. Anytime you make a mistake, you can always use this button here where it has the little back button. And if I click on that, I can click on it as many times as I want and it'll just take me back a step. So I can always kind of play with it that way too. So I like the way this looks now. I play like a girl, try to keep up. I might do it more like that. There we go. So that makes it come out a little bit more. Again, you can play with the way that the text lines up. I did want it to be kind of big. I can make it really big. I can bring it all the way on top. In fact, I can line it up this way, might be a little bit better, and bring my ball now. Oops. Let's take the ball and bring the ball out here. Now I don't want to cut off too much of my splatter, but something like that might look good. Okay. All right, so I like the way that looks. So this is probably what I'm going to go with, but you can see my my system. You play with it a lot. I move things around. I change, where everything, looks. At this point, I might even change the way the shadow falls, so it falls on the other side maybe. So once I have it the way I like it, I can go ahead and title it. So up here, I'm just going to go ahead and put I play like a girl, baseball. And then boom. So now I've got my design the way I want it and it's ready to download. So again, I can click share, come down to where it says download. You're going to want it to stay a PNG. You're going to want your transparent backgrounds. Right here, I do have 2 pages because the top page was just my frame. So I can click here and I'm just going to go ahead and select page 1. Oh, not page 1, page 2. That's the page we're on. All right, so now it says page 2, current page, transparent background, and I can click download and it will be ready to go. At this point, you can put it on a shirt or any other product that you want to put it on. And so that is how you would go about doing a complete design with lots of different tips and tricks from Canva. So if you got lost or need help with any of those, go ahead. You can ask questions in the comment sections. I try to get back to it as quickly as possible. If I went too fast through any of the different techniques, I do have a lot of earlier videos starting at the very beginning with text effects that show you how to do this, step by step and in a much slower process. And if you've been doing this for a while, then, this was just pretty simple, quick design that you can do. And of course, at this point now, I could just trade out this ball for anything that I wanted. So it could be a volleyball, it could be a tennis ball, it could be a golf ball. And so you can scale the design up that way. So that's it for today's video. I hope you found this useful. And if you would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.